guys, Mr. AFK here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a new sort of video. It's going to be a Smite guide for Ao Kuang. I mostly play Ao Kuang in Arena or Clash. I don't feel that I can use him very well in Joust or Conquest or anything like that, but this is my Arena build for him. So, first off, you want Soul Reaver because it gives you a decent amount of power and mana, plus the passive is amazing.
A dragon must be
the passive is if you hit the enemy with an ability, it'll take away 15% of their health regardless. So you can just lightly tap them with your weakest ability and 15% of their health is gone. That's always my first item. My second item is Polynomicon,
a deadly tool,
which, as you can see here, it gives you some power, some mana, some lifesteal. And the passive is after you use an ability, your next basic attack will do 75% of your magical power as additional damage. So remember this. My third item are the Shoes of the Magi.
Dragon.
I don't build cooldown on Ao Kuang because I don't like having less power. If I can get as much power as possible, that's good for me, in my opinion. If you want to build Shoes of Focus, go right ahead. But this will give him some decent power. It'll give him some penetration, which is useful against squishies. And obviously the movement speed is nice to have. He's really slow, even with boots, in my opinion. But the next item I get is Rod of Tahuti, one of the more expensive items in the game.
A deadly tool.
Once I get this item, I can go after a squishy and kill them for sure with my combo. Like, without this item, you'll damage a squishy pretty badly, but most of the time, from my experience, you won't be able to 1 to 2 shot them. With this, though, that completely changes because you damage them heavily. My fifth item is Obsidian Shard.
A deadly tool.
I will build this unless they don't have anyone who's building magical armor. If they don't have anyone building magical armor, you don't need to have this. But there's always going to be one person minimum in Arena that builds magical protections of some sort. And this is just useful for getting through that. So this last item slot here, it can either go into one of these two items. Spear of Desolation is preferred, but if it's too expensive and you can't get it at the end of the game in Arena again, go a Spear of the Mages. But we'll say we got the money and we got Spear of Desolation. That way you have as much power, as much burst as you possibly can. But if you can't get that for some reason, or if you're being focused, you feel like every time you go in you take too much damage before you can do anything, get Mantle of Discord. What this does is it gives you some decent protections, it gives you a little bit of cooldown, and if you go below 30% of your health, you'll emit a shockwave that stuns all enemies around you. Why this is useful is if you go in and you immediately get focused, you have a 1-second stun on them that you can use to possibly kill someone, ult out, something like that. So it's overall a really good defense item if you need it. Anyway, on to Ao Kuang's abilities and passive. His passive is his King's Sword. So you can see down here, you got the sword. It's got 3 charges. 1, 2, 3. What those charges do is every time you use an ability, a charge gets used up, but it makes that ability 5% stronger. As you can see, it's refilling because I'm not in combat. If I was to go in and smack Odin up here, you can see it's not recharging at all. But if I stop attacking Odin, I'm not taking any damage. He puts his sword away, and it starts filling back up. Another cool thing about this passive is if you run out of mana, you can still use abilities as long as you have a charge. So that's pretty cool. I've never actually gotten to the point where I haven't had mana So I've never actually used that part of his passive before, but I'm sure it would be extremely useful to have. His first ability is Water Illusion. So base damage leveled up is 290. So it's a fairly powerful ability with the scaling it has there. It does around 700-ish damage. But what this is it's a teleport that lets you go invisible, and it also leaves this clone of you behind. And as you saw, it blew up there. The cool thing about this clone is if enemies are standing inside that circle the clone's in, and you detonate it, which you can by pressing the button again to activate it, as I'll show here, blew up, it'll damage the enemies. I have found this is a good finishing move for when you're attacking people. If you go and you do your combo, they're low on health, they're getting away, you do this, bam, they die. So it's also useful too because if you get ulted by Odin, you can just jump right out. Unlike Loki, who can also go invisible, but he's stuck inside unless he teleports out with his ult. One thing that you should know about this though is if you take any damage at all or you attack, your invisibility goes away. So Loki, when he goes invisible, if he takes damage, he stays invisible, but if he attacks, he'll come out of invisibility also. So just keep that in mind with Ao Kuang. Ability number 2 is Dragon Call. So what this does is you activate it, you get a bunch of dragons, right? Every time you basic attack, a dragon flies off and does additional damage. This makes Ao Kuang very deadly to box if you're a melee character and he has his dragons up. Another thing that this ability can do is be thrown. So if you throw it, you can see he was slowed by that. I mean, he's not walking, so it's hard to tell, but you saw the rings around his feet. So overall, throwing the dragons does less damage than individually hitting a person with the dragons. But with Ao Kuang, he does so much damage anyway, you really don't need to have to worry about smacking people with the dragons up close. You can throw them for the most part and be fine. And now we're on to his third ability, Wildstorm. So the cool thing about this ability, just does that. It's a little cone attack. But the thing about it is, it pretends it's a basic attack. So remember when I said, remember the passive for Polynomicon? You activate your dragons, so you can see the Polynomicon down there. You use it, it uses Polynomicon, and since it is a basic attack, your dragon flies with it too. Meaning you do an insane amount of burst damage. You can't just do this though, because as you see, Polynomicon's still here, because this is an ability also. So for you to get maximum benefit out of this ability, make sure you use your dragons or something else first. And then his final ability, his ultimate, is King of the Eastern Seas. And what this does is... we'll just attack him. Alright, see that X? We use the ult. Since he had the X on him, we can eat him. And now we can choose where to land. We'll land. We barely missed Odin. If we hit Odin, though, we would have done some damage. So how his ult works is it's an execution if they're at 30% health or less. So it's a great way for dealing with tanks like Kumbhakarna, Khepri, stuff like that. Since it is an execution, Khepri's ult will not block it. So if Khepri ults someone and you ult them, as long as they have that X, they will get eaten by you, even if Khepri has ulted them. So it's a good way of dealing with that. If they do not have the X, however, if they're above 30% health, Ao Kuang will just simply throw them in the air. It doesn't do that much damage when you throw them in the air only. It does around 600-ish damage. For an ultimate, that's kind of low. But the cool thing is, if you throw them in the air, you wait for them to come down and bam. They usually will still die. Also, if you have to, you can use his ult as kind of an escape tool. Someone's chasing you, you ult them, and then you run away while they're in the air. So, this build that I have on Ao Kuang, this is how I prefer to play him, is a jump in your face, throw stuff, and then go away. I don't prefer having cooldowns, like I said before, because of the fact cooldowns mean less power. So, I'm not saying my build is the best one out there, or that's the correct way to build him. It's just the way I like to build him. I do feel this is a lot better than building him basic attack-wise, with attack speed and such. But in the end, however you want to build him is however you want to build him. So the actives I get, or the relics I should say, that I get on Ao Kuang are... Usually I get Blink, because like I said multiple times, I play Arena. And if you see that one person that's way in the back that has low health, you know you can ult them, you know you can do your combo and get rid of them. That's what Blink is good for. You teleport in, you do your damage, and then you teleport out. Or you can blink in and then teleport to get even closer, however it works for you. The second relic, I usually pick between Purification or Sanctuary. It really kind of matters on what the enemy team has, so use your best judgment for that. Purification usually works for most matches. So... Oh, one thing about Purification. If you go to ult someone, if they use Purification beads, you will not eat them. You'll do the damage, even if they have the X and they use the Purification, they will not get eaten, because technically you have to throw them in the air first, which is CC, and the Purification removes that. So, if you see an enemy Ao Kuang, Purification is a good thing to have on him, especially since most Ao Kuangs that I run into anyway build like I do or similar to it. You can see it has a high cooldown of 90 seconds. If we use the beads here, so as long as you're careful, your beads should be up for when he tries to ult you, especially if you play Arena. He's probably not going to be focusing you too much, just because of the amount of people running around. But yeah, this is how I build Ao Kuang. If you guys want to see more Smite guides, just leave a like on the video or drop a comment down too. If you want to see a specific character, just let me know in the comments. I have plans of doing Loki next because he's one of my favorite characters and I have him diamond on Xbox. Also, I bought Overwatch yesterday. It's a really fun game. I plan on doing some videos on that. So expect that soon. Busy time has started at my job, so as you can already tell, I haven't been uploading recently. I'm only going to be uploading when I can, when I have the time and the energy and the ability to make gameplays and such. I also decided I'm probably going to be discontinuing my Dishonored Let's Play. I like the game a lot, but as I was playing it, I realized it's not fun for me to play because of the fact that I already know what's going to happen. I've played through it a couple times previous to that. So I probably won't be playing it. If you guys really want to watch me play it, though, just let me know in the comments. I will keep playing if you want me to. Otherwise, there is a massive mod overhaul for Skyrim that should be coming out soon, and I would love to play that. It's called Enderall, I think. It completely changes Skyrim into a pretty much a brand new game. So be looking for that in the future. And I think that's all for my announcements and stuff. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.